Good evening, it's Kuro. Going over the matchmaking for this game. Got a bunch of fat boats, no radar cruisers. Shira, Bliska, Icarus, Nicholas. This is going to be my Gadjah Mada commentary for this upcoming ranked sprint. The map is Fault Line. This is actually a map I haven't played much in a while. I spawn over on North Spawn on the west side of the map. And I'm basically going to push up and try to scout the 1 and 2 line. Excuse me. Uh, Gadjah Mada. It's basically, it's kind of like halfway between like a U.S. destroyer and like a Jervis or something, where you have a lot of smokes. These smokes, they have a long deployment time, usually somewhere around 30 seconds. They don't last as long as regular smokes, um, but you typically can make a really long line. You can almost act like if you've seen some of my videos with either Haida or gearing, where I kind of bounce or bound in my smoke, in and out of smoke to reacquire targets and basically bait people into shooting me. Where I can spot them through my smoke. You can do a lot of stuff like that with these smokes. This ship's gonna be, she's gonna be a solid ship for ranked. The one thing that I don't like about this destroyer, and for me it's crippling, is this ship is really painful to try to kite away. Uh, just the you've got the front gun, it just has horrific angles. Probably some of the worst I've ever seen among a destroyer that has 3 turrets. Now, this is only a 13-point captain, so this is relatively. This is roughly what you would see when you're grinding this line. I have the standard build. Uh, Preventative maintenance, last stand, survivability expert, concealment expert, and adrenaline rush. 12 points, not 13. Now this is actually something I'm gonna pause it here, because this is something that I'm gonna comment on about this sort of play. Now you saw that I basically pushed up here, spotted basically what was around the island. You've got one ship that starts running away. You don't want to spend your game chasing damage. So right off the bat, you notice I just started turning right into this gap. Nothing's coming this way. I'm going to go mid. We still don't have a lot of scouting mid. So my thoughts are, let's get out there and see what I can see. And I'm rewarded with a battleship popping up. For some reason, a lot of battleships like to try to push this line, sometimes through here, sometimes right through here. Um, and it can be pretty dangerous because destroyers can sneak right in here. Like, I think this Gallon is providing the vision here. And this battleship, as he ducks behind this island, he's going to feel safe. He's not spotted. Well, now he's spotted. He's shooting. But he's unlikely to really realize that he's got torpedoes headed his way. Now, I did take a wide launch there. I wanted to make sure that I got, 1 or 2 hits rather than, try to dev strike the guy, just because I wasn't sure if the guy was going to try to turn or, something like that. Here the Shira finishes the job. He's flooding, and I'm not going to try to kill steal or anything like that. Actually, I am. I take it back. Am I bad? Nah, I didn't get the kill. But one of the other things that just general destroyer play lesson wise is the interactions between me and this Shiratsuyu. Um, the Shiratsuyu, I well, I don't know it at this time, but he is running torpedo reload, and there's a tendency for this guy to try to follow me around, and it creates some questionable situations. Like, okay, here he's getting ready to island torp this Scharnhorst. You know, that's whatever. Um, I'm just basically trying to torp his turn, and I am anticipating he's going to turn all the way out. I'm trying to wait until I get ships in a position where they can spot this guy. My torpedoes are in a position that it might force this guy to angle at my battleships. Now, I got the flooding here, I got the fire on the hood, and switching fire to the Scharnhorst, he's not flooding anymore. He's used his damage control, and I'm going to use this smoke. So you can see, you know, a very long deployment time on the smokes compared to standard destroyer smoke deploys for 20 seconds, and other nations it's even less than that. Trying to follow it up with a second fire on this Scharnhorst. Now this is where the Pan-Asian destroyers can really start farming damage. Using those torpedoes to trigger the damage control, and then just following these guys up with as many fires and everything that you can crank out. Your smokes have generally a pretty good cooldown, so there's not a lot of downtime in between your smokes. You can pretty much even use these smokes to you know, set multiple fires, and as soon as somebody damage controls, um, generally by the time their DCP is off cooldown, your smoke could be coming back online. Here I'm starting to leave the smoke early. Yeah, I want to say it's somewhere around 30 seconds or so with the cooldown. So U.S. battleships 20-second cooldown. It's not that bad. Now, same thing here. You know, guys just running away. All of this support here. I'm just gonna go mid. You know, you don't ever want to be in a position where you're trying to chase damage as a destroyer. It's just not going to work out for you. The other thing is that this flank has started collapsing, and one of two things is going to happen. Either these guys are going to push into our cap, or they're going to fall back to their base, and I'm not really sure what they're going to do at this point. So pushing in the middle, that's going to get me in a position where I can make a play at either location. I'm actually making the play to go back to the cap right now. I spot this New Mexico, and I'm just pushing forward, and I'm going to end up going for the New Mexico and see what I can do. Now, this starts the, you know, trying to chase other destroyers for damage. If this Shiratsuyu would have proceeded south, he could be setting up plays trying to pull people towards the cap in this direction while I controlled the middle. Instead, trying to follow me up here, he's going to have a rough game. So, it's not the best torpedo angle, but I am going to use this Shiratsuyu and just start trying to work this New Mexico over. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to bait this guy into a turn either way. He's starting to turn to open up. Now, something's going to happen here momentarily that I disagree with. And I don't think that most Destroyer players understand what they're doing when they do it. You see the New Mexico drop off? Okay. You have two Destroyers. This Shiratsuyu moved from spotting the New Mexico to inside my smoke. I'm sorry, but I consider this rude as a Destroyer player, that if one of your allies has used one of their consumables to deal damage, it's your turn to spot. And on the flip side, when his smoke runs out, it's his turn to spot while you use your smoke, and you tag team like that. Moving into a smoke to share it when you don't have guaranteed vision breaks that dynamic, and I consider it rude, and it does really irritate me. And if this guy hadn't shot, he wouldn't be detected right now. Actually, I was AFK there for a second grabbing number 2. He's been sick today and just trying to, help him out with feeling better. So he's actually on my lap from this point on the rest of the game. And this is the issue. He's just sitting there. Now, fortunately, I was able to finish this New Mexico off, but I mean, this move here is a hope that he can kind of kill steal this by, maybe this guy can repair and his torpedoes would have a chance at finishing the battleship off. And that's why I think that this is rude, that you're not playing for your team. This is a selfish play, and one, I don't understand it because he wasn't shooting in the smoke, so he wasn't really utilizing the smoke. I don't understand why somebody would do this, but I'm explaining it from the perspective of an experienced Destroyer player. You're not letting me use my consumables. The flip side is that I've got no problem if somebody smokes up, spotting for them. That's just good teamwork. So enough about that rant. Gonna get back more into Gadjah. This is actually a really good example of the guns. The firing angles that you have when you're going forward. Playing aggressive, this ship is fantastic for its angles of fire. It's some of the best that I've seen on a destroyer. And I pick up this Shiratsuyu. Now watch, it is 360 degree turrets. I don't have expert marksman, so it's 18 seconds for 180 degree turn. But you see, just by trying to turn the ship, it just goes together. Now, that tells me that's the Bliska there. They've got nothing else that could smoke up like that and have that many shells come in. So I know there's no longer a DD threatening my cap here. And I'm going to push in here and see if I can finish this guy. Now again, Shiratsuyu following me. There's not going to be a lot of scraps left, with a really good destroyer player. Uh, you're always going to be behind the 8 ball on my torpedoes. You know, if you torp right after I torp, you know, targets are going to be dodging to try to avoid my torpedoes, which are it's gonna hurt your chances. Going ahead and pick up the kill on the Bliska, start going on the Ishmael, and these guns, they've got really good fire chance. Now, I am fully flagged, but I don't have demo expert. Hell, I don't have basic firing training. This game could have been a lot better with basic firing training. Just launch a wide set of torps. I expect this guy to turn out. So most of my damage I'm focusing on is with my guns. I think he repaired the single fire that I had, and he just got an unrepairable fire. And again, this Shiratsuyu moving in my smoke. And I get that the guy doesn't have a smoke. I find out here he's torpedo reload here because right here I'm hearing the second sets of torps coming out. And it's unlikely those torpedoes are going to hit. He's, you know, 8.5 kilometers and kiting away from me. You know, my torpedoes are going to run out. Uh, he's going to be well outside of 10 kilometers at that point. Why not just keep pushing up? You know, again, I don't get it. But this is one of the now, I want you to focus here with the gunboating. You're going to see um, really the only way to gunboat in this thing. You can't kite out and gunboat like you can in other destroyers. You've got to kind of be bow in. So you want to try to work towards an island or cover or something. Now this is the only ship left, so I'm just going to keep working this guy. But you see, just by switching my angles, you know, just in on my reload, I can really change the aspect of how this ship is traveling and still keep all of my guns on target. He's going to shoot at me, and you're just going to see me go bow into him. Here's a shot. Now I am getting really close here, but I've already got another smoke available, and I'm just biting that opportunity to smoke up. And right here I'm going to drop my smoke. There's High Caliber and Witherer. Launching another big wide fan set of torps. I am going to get hit hard here. Now, that actually helps me because that's all adrenaline rush now. So, now I've got, you know, basically the equivalent of basic firing training. What am I down to? Yeah, I'm down under 4.5 seconds. So, now I'm actually better than basic firing training. And all I'm doing right here is I keep trying to hit areas of the ship that aren't on fire. It's a Russian battleship. You're not going to do a bunch of HE pen damage with a DD. I did pick up a cheeky little fire there. And Torpedoes is going to put this guy down for the Arsonist. And that wraps up the game. To sum up Gadjah, great forward gun arcs. Um, you're gonna get punished if you try to kite away from a destroyer fight. Just smoke up. If you've got a kite, just smoke up because you've gotta pretty much be fully broadside to use all of your DPM. It's extremely painful and just disengage from that situation. That's really the weakness on this destroyer. Frontally, uh, it's amazing gun angles. When you're chasing stuff like I was doing later on in the game, um, it's it's probably some of the best that you can find. Uh, Again, in the entire game, I can't think of any destroyers off the top of my head that have better gun angles. Um, Again, this game really focuses more on the damage dealing aspect of this ship. The deep water torpedoes, you're I don't like deep waters. They're not balanced for the game. Uh, these ships had very little chance at actually avoiding torpedoes because none of these ships have hydro unless those torpedoes pass in front of a destroyer or something. Uh, People are just going to eat these torpedoes, and I don't think that that's right, but that's the way things are now. Combine those torpedoes with this almost, it's a faster cycling smoke than like the US destroyers, where the US destroyer smoke, uh, it hangs there a really long time. So what ends up happening, most of your targets end up moving beyond your effective field of fire, um, and your smoke's just kind of wasted sitting there. Your smoke's really designed more for a cruiser, or something to that effect, where they've got much greater gun range than your destroyer. Uh, this ship, the smokes are more tailor made for the destroyers, where the long duration isn't really there, so you're not wasting a lot of your smoke. Uh, you know, Usually you get about 15 to 20 seconds to use your smokes, and then you really start need to worry about torpedoes and things like that. So a lot of times you end up giving up a lot of your smoke. So that's one of the reasons why I like the Royal Navy smokes. There's no fuss, no muss. It's stripped down to just what you need, and the smoke's wearing off, and you're already on the move by the time torps are starting to arrive from destroyers that have torped you from 7, 8, 9 kilometers out. Um, the guns, these are Royal Navy destroyer guns, 100, I think, believe 120 millimeter. Uh, Great fire chance. They do pretty reliable pen damage. They are floaty though. They feel more floaty to me than the U.S. Navy, or yeah, the U.S. Navy destroyers at range. I always feel like I have to lead more with these guns than something on a Sims or something to that effect. Maybe that's just me, but that seems to be my observation. Um, Other than that, I think that about wraps it up for Gadjah. I think that she's going to be a strong contender, good concealment. Uh, I don't like the deep water torpedoes in the rank standpoint simply because you're not able to clear destroyers out of smoke. If this meta gets destroyer heavy, that could really be harmful. Not having a valid torpedo threat to try to sweep enemy smoke screens clear of enemy destroyers, uh, could end up hurting you. Uh, but the flip side is, if there's a lot of battleships or cruisers and only a couple destroyers, uh, for the most part in these matches, your torpedoes, again, if somebody doesn't have hydroactive, they're pretty much guaranteed they're going to eat at least one. Uh, Unless they just get lucky and, they just naturally sail right by it. Uh, so this is Gadjah. I hope you guys have a good night. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and I will talk to you later.